Hey, welcome to New Review. It's been a while since my last post. You can check out my vlog channel to get a little bit of a reason as to why it's been so long. But today we are here to talk about the Rooster Teeth television TV series, RWBY. RWBY takes place in the world of Remnant, and it follows four girls who are training to become warriors who fight monsters to protect the world. This series was first conceived by Monty Oum, who was an animator at Rooster Teeth working on Red vs. Blue. And once he got done with Red vs. Blue and he got start really going on RWBY, he was given the green light to work on it, and it eventually was first produced and aired in 2013. And ever since, it's become one of the fastest growing and most popular series on the Rooster Teeth site. Um, it is currently in production for its fifth season, but it just ended with its fourth season, and its fourth season was a pretty crazy ride. Now, just a little recap of the first three seasons. The first season was a world building season where we got to be introduced to the world itself a little bit, and of course the characters. Now, the four main characters are Ruby Rose, the R, and the namesake of the uh, series, Weiss Shini, Blake Belladonna, and Yang Xiaolong. Now, all of these characters are the four most important characters, and we really follow and focus on them throughout most of the first, second, and third seasons, um, to one extent or another. And these characters really are expressed in one way, or are explained to us originally in one way, and then kind of come into their own as the first season progresses, and they kind of go beyond what we were told they were a little bit. Second season, they really start to evolve into newer and more intriguing characters. For instance, Yang was billed to us as like the party girl, but as the season progressed, she started to seem a little bit more like a mother figure, and that was actually explained to us in one of the episodes in season two. And season two was really seemed a bit of a mystery season, and it's trying to figure out what this big mystery is that's starting to cause a lot of chaos or crime within their world, specifically where they're living in the Kingdom of Vale, which is one of the identified kingdoms in the world of Remnant. And then season three is the typical anime tournament arc. RWBY is very anime inspired, and it's seen a lot in its animation. And this season really took the anime inspiration to the next level by introducing a tournament arc, which was something that had been hinted at in the first and second seasons, or volumes as they're called. And then once the third season got there, it really started to pick up not only in its maturity, because the main characters started to get a little bit more mature. They were a little bit more versed in the world, although they were still very childlike. Um, and then the end of the season really hit us in the gut with a lot of really important characters dying. That being specifically Roman Portwick, who was the first main villain that was ever introduced to the series. Second being Penny, who was just a lovable little android who who was unfortunately paired against Pyrrha, who was also the third character to die. And Pyrrha was kind of like this ultimate warrior that you wouldn't think would end up dying, and that really kind of shifted the entire series into the fourth season, which just recently aired. Now, the fourth season really got into this Bildungsroman kind of genre, and Bildungsroman is a coming of age story, a coming of age genre. And in this past season, there was a lot of coming of age, and I'm going to break this down a little bit by character for the entire season, just to do a general season breakdown for this for the remainder of this video. Now, Ruby started out in the series as this lovable, quirky character, but by season 4, she's really come into her own as a fighter and a leader. She was originally named the leader of her team, but this season they kind of broke the entire team up, and she is leading another team. Um, and it's really her quest to figure out what's going on. And she was told that the next place to look would be another kingdom, Mistral, which is where they're going the entire where she and her team are going the entire time. And in this entire time, she's becoming more mature. She still has a little bit of her immaturity, such as laughing at Jean's sweatshirt, as seen in the first episode. But as the season progresses, she becomes more and more, like I said, mature. She's when she sees Jean practicing and watching a video of Kira telling him how to practice, instead of going in to kind of try to make him feel better, she instead just watches silently and then just walks away because she knows that John needs to do this on his own, and that shows a great deal of maturity on her part. She also um, continues to try to be kind of like the moral center of her new team and try to be the mature one in the team, even though she's with people who are much older than her um, the entire time. And when Crow gets injured partway through the season, partially because of her interference, she really just takes the lead in making sure that he ends up okay, and she doesn't like leave his side at all the entire time she's trying to get them to Mistral. On to Weiss. Weiss does a lot of growing up herself too. At the end of the third season, she's being taken back to Atlas, which is where she's from. It's another kingdom in uh, in the world of Remnant, and she's kind of like a caged bird almost. She's living in her father's house under his thumb. She's not really allowed to leave. She's not really allowed to do anything. Um, and the entire time, she's just trying to process what happened and where she is now and how that relates to her entire world. And by the end of the season, it seems that she realized that her place isn't in Atlas, it's with people, it's out there with others who are like her fighting. And at the end of the season, she's going to Mistral to rejoin with her sister, who has a bad relationship with her father because she went to Atlas's Huntsman Academy, then joined the Atlas military, and is now a Huntsman soldier for the Legion military. She also seems to have a little bit of an issue processing what happened to her as well, because partway through the season she conjures, which is part of her family's semblance or special ability. It's conjuring. She conjures a creature that she fought in a moment of anger, and in almost a way she can't in a for a reason that she couldn't control entirely. And this kind of showed me that she saw and did things that she still has a little bit of trouble figuring out what it means. Uh, Next with Blake. Blake, after she got Yang to safety at the end of season 3, just ran away. And that was something that was already part of her character. At the beginning of the series, she ran away from the organization she was part of, the White Fang, which was a civil rights organization turned terrorist organization, to redeem herself by becoming a huntswoman. And she had been told, don't run away, already by Yang. in the second season, and yet at the end of the third season, she ran away. Um, and the entire time she's running home, thinking that if she gets home, she'll find this place that she knows, that she feels is comfortable, that she feels is safe, which is something she hasn't felt or had in a long time. Of course, by the time she gets there, it is not exactly safe because she ends up fighting another member of the White Fang, and she, by the end, is realizing that she can't run away anymore. She realizes that running away doesn't really fix the problem, and so at the end, she's really prepared to go and do what needs to be doing, even though she doesn't want to do it. Which at the end is retaking the White Fang and bringing it back to its original purpose of helping Faunus, which is in their world a human that has some sort of animal attribute, which typically is visible like cat ears in Blake's case. And finally, with Yang, Yang at the end is one of two characters that now has definitely experienced massive trauma. The other one being Blank, and is definitely still reeling from it, kind of like Weiss, only a little bit more because she had her arm cut off by the end of the third season. Um, all the way up until then, she was the mothering, nurturing character, and she basically didn't take the time to take care of herself. And by the time she got her, and by the time this season's rolled around, she's still sitting there, a little mopey, and still scared of her shadow a bit, if that makes any sense. And it's not bad because she faced a massive trauma. And as time goes by, her dad, who she's living with, is trying to get her to get back to her old self. Uh, he gets when he gets an arm in the mail, a mechanical arm in the mail for her. He's really excited. He thinks that this is something that can get her back to her old self. And it doesn't exactly start out that way until they start training again. And after a conversation with two of her teachers, who really state that she was really well respected by them and was someone that they really admired for someone so young. And that really gets her what she needs to start to get back to her old self. And by the end of the season, she's back into fighting shape, has her arm painted her particular colors, and is already set to go find Ruby. And at the end of the season, they're all trying to get back together. And I kind of want to note that this season may not have been entirely linear in time, in the character progression, because it seemed a little like it may have been. I don't. It just didn't seem entirely linear. Now that I look back on it, having seen the entire season, that maybe parts of the story were given to us out of order. Um, there's no way to know that unless you talk to Miles Luna or Kerry Shawcross, the writers of RWBY. But we'll just have to wait and see until next season. This is Joshua with New Review, signing off.